Whew. Good morning, everybody. Okay, it's hot. I just woke up. I've not done my makeup. I just have lip gloss on. My nails off. But I just had to say this because it's a topic I'm very passionate about, which is voting. 4 years is already here. I mean, wow. 4 years comes by so fast. Only 4 years ago, we were all in the queue to vote. Anyway, so another 4 years is here, and it's time to stand in line again and vote. And as usual, the conversations have started on social media. Why should we vote? What's the point? Politicians are going to do what they're going to do anyway, and people are going to rage anyway. So why should we even waste our time? Why should we vote? And I get your frustration. I mean, I'm there a lot of times. I'm like, do you know how many times a day I go like, Ghana cry? What's the point? I mean, but those are like, random moments during the day when things are not going right for me. But I also understand the power in my vote. I understand that I am part of decision making. The reason why I'm so vocal on social media and everywhere else when it comes to politics in this country is because it is my country. I feel like I have a right. In fact, it's not just a feeling. I know I have a right. And I exercise that right when I go and stand in line. And even when they frustrate me, I will still stand in that line because I need to feel like I'm part of a decision making. Because what happens is, all that ranting on social media means nothing if you're going to give power to another person to go and decide who should be president for you. If you're going to give power to another person to decide the fate of this country for you. And that's what I don't want to do. Now, I get the frustration when it comes to, it's almost like we are recycling, politicians. Like, they're the same, nothing is ever going to change, and I get it. But think about this. If politicians didn't need your votes and everything was set in stone, why would they campaign every single time? Why would they wait till election period to fix roads? Why would they wait till election period to, fulfill campaign promises? Why? And then why do that when they've had like 4 years to do that? They depend on your vote. It is important for you to vote because for every political party, you always talk about these foot soldiers. Every party has its core following. There are people who, it doesn't matter if their party decides that they are giving everybody in Ghana poison to drink to die. They'll be there and say, oh, the poison there is good though. It's important that we die so that we can rebirth a new nation. There are people like that who, it doesn't matter what their party does, they are going to support. And for those people, when it's time to vote, it's just like, this is how they vote. Patro, number 2, number 3, and 4, them party. Every party, okay. They don't vote on policies. They don't vote on, anything. They just vote based on their political affiliation and also how it benefits their pockets. Because a lot of these people are paid. So there are those. And then there are the floating voters. This year they vote for this party. 4 years they vote for the next party. Their vote change depending on how they feel. And those sometimes are just a small minority, but they are the ones who sway. They are the ones who influence the polls the most. I don't think they even know this. Because if we have 40% of this party core following voting, and we have another 40% of this core following voting for this party, and then we have 20%, who do you think is going to decide who comes or stays in power? Floating voters. So if you decide not to vote, you are giving away power to these core people who vote according to their pockets and according to how financially rewarding the whoever comes or stays into power is to them. Those are the people who are giving power to. You are giving power to sometimes idiots who don't care about, healthcare, who don't care about the educational system, who don't care about anything that happens in the country. So long as they are good, they are okay. Those are people you are giving power to. Is the church saying amen? Are you understanding? Are you getting it? So now, when you give power to these people, you really have kind of lost your right to complain about how the country what happens in the country, because you have the power to elect someone you believed was better and you didn't. Politicians are there to serve us, not the other way around. So now, if the citizens understand their right and demand for certain things, when politicians are in power, we dictate a lot of how they treat us, and we don't always win. I get it. But if you notice, there's been a pattern of change which I am very excited about. Because when I started, doing political commentary, it was very, very people. Oh my God, you spoke about the president. Oh my God, you talked about the MP. You should not talk about. But there's an awareness, an awakening that's happening, which I love, and that awakening means that you now understand that you have a right. When these people are in power and they are doing things you don't like, you have the right to speak on it. Imagine if collectively we all demanded better treatment. Collectively, we all went out on the street. Collectively, we all said, listen, do this, do this, do this. You will see that it will put them on their toes. Because again, if they didn't need your votes, if they didn't understand how powerful you are, they wouldn't go around putting gravels on roads that have been left there for years. They wouldn't be on radio and TV screaming and shouting. If politicians didn't need your vote, they wouldn't have foot soldiers all over the place doing their biddings. They know your power. The question is, do you know your power? And if you do you know how to use your power? Let me give you a typical example, and it's not even political. One time in my neighborhood, a very popular, network had come around advertising that, they will do provide, broadband service, a specific type of broadband service. And why you do light, boy, video kakra me, move do light. A specific type of, broadband service. Now I was sitting in my house, so you could say that you can do. And I called them. I filled the forms and everything. I called them. Nobody came. 1 month, no one came. 2 months, 3 months. I called them again. And I said, hey, I filled out these forms. I needed internet. Nobody has come. Oh, madam will come out. I said, okay, cool. So I waited and waited and waited. Nobody came. So then I went on social media. I said, listen, I was sitting somewhere. You came. I was minding my business. And you said that you are going to provide XYZ service. When it's time, you did not show up. By weekend, I had my internet. Now, some will argue that maybe because of the influence that I have, maybe that's why they came, but not so fast. About a year ago, a friend of mine had called me and said, you know what, when this, banking crisis started, she couldn't access her money. And she's like, Lydia, can you write something about it? I'm like, listen, you people don't understand that I am not the most powerful person in the country. Half of the time, I'm fighting for me, myself, my own salvation. And you have the power too. It's like, oh, but I don't have as much influence. I say, you actually do. But you're convinced you don't have that influence, and people take advantage of that. I said, if they owe you, put them on blast. You'll get your money. And she said, okay. I told her what she should do, because you're well within your rights to get your money. She did. And within 2 hours, she got her money. Just like that. Again, I'm not saying that this works for everybody. Sometimes it's harder for others. But I'm just saying that imagine if we all understood the power that we had and collectively demanded better. Our politicians would not be taking us for a ride at all. But the truth is, we rant and then we stop. We are not united in this rant because in us, there are people who rant for their own benefits. So when this party is in power, this one wants the party to fail so that their party comes into power, and vice versa. It goes on and on and on. And the people left suffering are us. And we also don't talk because we're like, well, the country campo is not for us. Who's the country for? When you vote people in power and you demand certain things from them, and we are collective in our demands, it might not happen the way we want it to. It might take longer, but trust me, politicians are always listening. They are paying close attention to all of you. And because of this attention they are paying, that is why every 4 years they go around trying to, campaign and rally for your vote and give you cloth and yam and all of that. Now, Charlie, light off him. Now, the assumption that there are only 2 political parties or 3 or 4 like that. There are so many other candidates there. I'm not going to tell you who you should vote for. In fact, there have been times when I've gone to the polls and I look at everybody and there's not one person that I like. I'm like, how are these niggas ain't gonna do shit for me? But I always look for the one who is at least better than the rest, because that person will serve an interest of mine, at least for the 4 years. So I'll vote for that person. The idea that I'll get a candidate that is going to meet up to every single thing I'm looking for is unrealistic. But I will vote based on, you know what? I don't like everybody here, but this person is a bit okay. He ticks my box in education, or healthcare, or for me the creative industry is extremely important to me. So I'm paying attention to a candidate who, okay, what will he do for the creative industry? So I will vote for that. That's how you vote. So the idea that a candidate will have all of what you're looking for is really unrealistic. And when I vote, sometimes the person I'm voting for, I'm like, wait, I'm sure really. But I'm voting because of that interest. Now imagine if everybody thought like me and we went to vote based on who we thought served our individual interest in that moment. Do you know the difference we could make? But we don't like to do that because we've been conditioned to think that, you know what, like we've been convinced about so many things that for me, I feel like, where did that come from? But I want to conclude with this. Now, after you vote, beyond the polls, how much attention do you pay to what's happening in this country? Remember, this like you've hired someone to run your home, right? They are in charge of paying the electricity. They're in charge. Like I've been to where I've moved somewhere and then the people who are supposed to pay for certain bills don't pay, and then I wake up one day and there's a huge bill here. I'm like, what the fuck? And who has to pay for that? Me, because I was not paying attention. So beyond the polls, when you vote, how much attention are you paying to the decisions politicians are making? Do you know your MP? Do you know your DCE? Do you know their numbers and how to access them? Are you asking questions? Are you part of, because a lot of you like to conveniently go like, well, it's not my problem, politics there. But if you're not when the road is bad, it's not your car. When there's no education, when the educational system is bad, it's not your children. So you can't sit there and say it's not my problem when it is your problem. Stop limiting politics to something only a few people can be part of or speak on, when these people are making decisions that directly affect us. So beyond the polls, what are you doing? Are you part of the conversation of change? Are you monitoring this with that? Your manifesto, but no, that's what you do. Your manifesto, you said that you do this. Why isn't it there? Give us a tangible reason why. And then if in 4 years they don't meet up to what you want them to do, you vote them out. And the next person may come and not be any better. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying when you vote, the change you're looking for will automatically happen. The next person may not be any better, but guess what? Because they now know that there's a possibility that if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they'll be voted out. Guess who's going to be on their toes? When you work in any company, you know, if you don't show up on time, you don't do the work you're supposed to do, you can be fired. What do? You show up at 7 a.m., bap. You listen to your boss, you do exactly what you're supposed to do because you know that you can be fired. And that's how we need to treat these politicians. But politicians come into power and they do whatever they want. But we act like we are scared of these people. Why do they come doing banku, pounding banku, and doing pounding fufu and doing banku for your vote? Every 4 years, they become meek and mild because they know the power you have. The only time they are powerful is when they are in power. But it's only because we make them feel like when they are in power, they're untouchable. But when they know untouchable, saying 4 years, that's how I treat politicians. I'm like, Mary, 4 years. I keep receipts. And I'll remind them, I'm like, but 4 years ago, you were saying, so, when end up best vote, imagine if we were all like that. And it's a process. And I don't want to completely give up. I just need to emphasize that I love the new generation. There's an awakening that is happening. I love that people are just going at them and asking questions. The new generation of people are paying attention. They can't be taken for granted. But beyond that, we need to go and exercise our franchise. We need to vote. And after voting, we need to challenge them. We need to pay attention, read their manifestos, ask them questions. When you don't ask questions, people will just do what they want to do. And when they don't do what they're supposed to do, you have the right to say, but. And it's like an uphill climb, and it's frustrating, I get it. But if we give up now, people will suffer. The next generation. You know how we like to sit down and go, yeah, mama, what are your children going to say about you? How are you leaving this country for your children? When you die someday, or when you have children, are they going to be proud and say, thank you, mom and dad? You fought, and because of what you fought for, I get to enjoy these benefits. Because imagine if people didn't fight for independence. Imagine people said that, you know what, these white people ain't going nowhere anyway. Just how things are going to be. Imagine if they just gave up. We wouldn't be enjoying the benefits we are enjoying today. So sometimes the things we fight for is not for us. It's not for us to see. Some of the change we want, we might not see it in our lifetime. But we get to leave the world a better place than we came to meet it. Goodbye. This video was brought to you by Kinky Matters Secret Hair Recipe. Kinky Matters, because you matter. Now go and buy the cream.